This conference will now be recorded.
You see my screen now? Lohit and Saul, you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, yes.
okay. So yesterday we seen about fundamentals of DevOps, right? Because that is very important for you to understand. Because today you are learning Azure DevOps platform, but tomorrow it could be different platform, right? And no tool is permanent in the industry, right? It keeps on changing, or your organization may keep on changing. And let us say that today you are asked to work on Azure DevOps projects, right, for CI/CD. But tomorrow your project team may ask you to work on some other tool as well. Okay, tools will change, but your concepts will never change basically. Okay, your concepts will keep on enhancing, but the fundamentals will still be same forever, right? That's the reason I covered all the fundamentals of DevOps. What is DevOps? What are the different types of DevOps building blocks available, and how they are related to your SDLC pages. Now since you have an idea, after learning Azure DevOps, tomorrow if someone asks you to work on some other platform or some other tool, it will be easier for you because you know exactly what you have to learn and how you what you need to implement. So that's the idea of the fundamental session. Okay, now since this is a, Azure DevOps is a cloud native application. It is
Purna,
hello.
sorry to interrupt you.
Mhm.
So yesterday when we have seen the architecture diagram, entire I mean from the repos, I mean, like the boards and
Right,
actually to the continuous deployment. So in
right,
each phase we might use different tools. Suppose if you take repos, we might use GitHub. If you go to
right,
CD, we will use Jenkins, kind of. So
right.
in each phase, will you teach? Will you guide us each to a different tool, or the entire Azure will take care of all these tool steps?
Yeah, I made one statement, right? So
Yeah.
let me go back here. So you see this diagram yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday I was saying if you are not using platforms like Azure DevOps, you have to
Okay.
use different tools to do continuous
Okay.
integration. You have to
Okay.
use different tools for continuous testing. But if you're using platforms like Azure DevOps, similarly you have a Bamboo, I mean Atlassian product, right? Your Jira, you know. Okay. Similarly, you have from Jira you have many things, and Tricentis, I mean that is another platform. You have a TeamCity. If you are using those kind of tools, right? Many of these things come built in basically. Only the development utilities will change. Okay. So,
Okay.
but how we are going to learn here? I mean I'm going to explain you or do a labs in front of you all the features of Azure DevOps along with other tools as well, because you need to know how to integrate with other tools, right? I was telling you in some companies, people may try to use Jenkins as a continuous integration platform and Azure DevOps as a continuous deployment platform. Okay, so but I mean it's very rare. I mean I don't say that every company will do it, but still you need to understand those scenarios. Okay, so I will cover all of them, and I mean that's the reason I have one more slide on top of that, right? If you come here,
So
you will
irrespective of
learn
using
Sonar
all
Cube,
these, yeah.
integration with Selenium, integration with other
Mm-hmm.
DevOps tools,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
GitHub, and I will show you some other areas how you can integrate with Slack, okay, etc.
Okay.
Okay, so that will give
Yeah.
you a fair amount of idea. Okay, if someone asks you to integrate some other thing, you can go and integrate, because first you need to understand the concept. Okay,
Okay. Or else without having these kind of intermittent tools, Azure can stand alone, can do the CI/CD process.
Exactly. Azure
Okay.
DevOps is a platform as a service. It is a suite of applications. You can, yeah, you can.
So
So that's why you have the Azure. Each and every feature that I shown you in Azure DevOps, right? Azure Boards. Azure Boards
Yes.
equivalent to your Jira. Okay. Azure Repos equivalent to your GitHub. Okay. And Azure Pipelines, CIC is equivalent to your GitHub or Bamboo or TeamCity. So this is a suite of applications. That's why you call it as a platform as a service.
Okay, it making sense. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what's our target, right? This is our target. We need to learn all these different items that I mentioned across each of the SDLC phases. Okay. Okay. But before getting into where I am here, right? Yeah. So Azure DevOps is a feature on the Azure cloud platform, right? So you need to understand the parent product itself. Okay, if you don't know Azure cloud fundamentals, it might be difficult for you to understand how this Azure DevOps is working, and how you can integrate Azure DevOps with some other features on the Azure cloud. Let me give an example. uh, right now you might be deploying your applications into a server, right? It can be a virtual machine, it can be a physical machine. Okay. But in some cases we will deploy the applications directly into some of the features like Azure app service in Azure cloud. Okay, similar features are available on other cloud platforms as well. Other cloud platform means AWS, etc. Then you need to understand how you can integrate Azure DevOps with those other platform as a service features. Okay, that's the reason it is important to learn Azure cloud fundamentals as well. Guys, as you said, Azure cloud, I mean, each and every point is a version basically. So I will cover what is relevant for you. Okay. But I can give you assurance by the end of this Azure DevOps session, you will also learn Azure cloud administration as well. That surety I can give. All you need to do is go and explore the other features that are available in Azure cloud. I mean, using the knowledge that you gain here. Okay. Now, let's understand Azure cloud fundamentals. But before getting into that Azure cloud fundamentals, this is your target. Let's go and learn how do you do planning, that means requirement analysis and planning activities in Azure DevOps. We use Azure Board. And how do you do source control management, which comes under version control mechanism, and in Azure DevOps we use Azure Repos. And how do you do build, which is equivalent to continuous integration in DevOps, and we use it Azure Pipelines. And artifact management, how do you manage your binaries for better operational maintenance? We use Azure Artifacts. Okay. And how do you deploy your applications, uh, 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 which is the output of your compilation, right, or build activity? For that we use Azure release pipelines in Azure DevOps. And log management monitoring, as I told you, it is a separate set of tools, I mean, which you will not fit into that category, because that goes to operations teams, which work, who will work on 24 by 7, right? You will not get into this one. You will always work with the development teams. You are a part of development team. Okay, this is the target. Always, during our, I mean, daily look into this diagram, it will fix into your mind actually. If someone asks you what is end-to-end DevOps architecture, what are all the things that you have to do in a DevOps, then this is a single page that you need to remember. Okay. Let's understand cloud concepts, right? So you have a, I mean, guys, are you aware of cloud concepts? I mean, if that is the case, I can quickly run through, or else I can spend in a couple of minutes on this. Is that okay?
No, I'm not aware
Can
of it.
you, yeah, we are
Okay.
not.
Okay, cool then. So, okay, let's, before getting into the cloud. So generally we call it as a data centers, right? Data center is nothing but a building where you maintain all your servers, isn't it? And you will have your infrastructure guys who will take care of that data center, right? So your data center is a big building which contains, a big number of air conditioners, and then you have your networking cable, you have your storage devices, okay, and you have your servers, okay. Lot many things are there, and all they are interconnected, right? Okay. Your network guys will take care of the networking, like putting the LAN cables, putting the internet cables for the servers. Your server guys will take care of the server administration. That means installing the operating system, installing any patches, or installing the software required by the developers. All that server administration will be taken care of by server administrators, right? And then storage guys, storage means so you have your hard disk on your laptop or desktop, right? And similarly you have the hard disk on your server as well. Server is nothing but a machine which is having a big capacity than your laptop. Your servers might be having 128 GB of RAM or 256 GB of RAM with a lot of storage, right? So all the storage might not be on the hard disk of the server, right? You will have to use some storage devices to continuously back up your storage data as well. Otherwise, when your server gets crashed, you will lose all the data. So, and you will have your uh, security guys as well, who will take care of security tools basically. I mean, in terms of antivirus, anti-spam, all those things will be taken care of the security guys. So at a minimum, if you are using a data center, right, to maintain your physical servers, at a minimum, how many teams you need? You need a server administration team, you need a network administration team, you need a security team, and you need the people who will take care of all this maintenance work for a power, air condition, etc. And you also need storage guys. Minimum 5 to 6 departments are required to maintain your data center. And technically you need a five different teams, as I mentioned just now, to maintain your data center. On top of that, let us say you need to, your capacity is not, you have 10 servers, but your 10 servers in your data center are not are not able to cater to your application traffic. Your applications are keep on going down because of the increasing load. Okay. Now if you want to include another server in your data center, it's a big process, right? First of all, you need to get the funding for your server. It might be some 3 lakhs or 4 lakhs rupees. Your finance team need to approve it, and then you need to put an order for Dell or HP, etc. Then it will take some 1 week, and those guys will ship that server to your premises, right? Your data center in your university. And you need a number of people to put that server into the server rack, and then you need all these 5 different teams, like a server administration, network administration, and then storage guys, and then anti security guys. All these people have to work together to keep your servers up and running in your data center. After that, it will become available to your developer team, who will deploy, or your DevOps team, who will deploy the applications into the server. It takes a minimum 2 3 months for you to just buy a server and put it in your data center, so that you can deploy your applications. And that is, I mean, in the modern days, right, that is not possible to wait for 2 3 months to buy a server, because you need to quickly deploy your applications, because it is competitive world, right? If you are waiting for 3 4 months to create a server, you will lose the business. I mean, you means the business guys, right? So that's the reason cloud has evolved. Now, when you are using Azure Cloud or AWS Cloud, etc., so they are also maintaining the physical data centers. I mean, everything is based on the physical only. Okay, but you are not. I mean, as an end user, you don't know, or you don't care how they buy the servers, how many they have. You really don't care. All you care is a server which can be created on demand. That means whenever you want a server, you can create it on demand. It hardly takes 1 or 2 minutes. In the backend, what happens, etc., it doesn't matter to you, because this Microsoft or AWS, etc., they take care of it. They buy all the servers in advance. They keep it available. Whether that will be utilized by you or not, it doesn't matter, because you are buying the services of your Azure Cloud or AWS Cloud. You are not buying the infrastructure here. Okay. So from 3 4 months time to build a server, we have come to the point that you can, creating a server for within a minute or two. So if you want to deploy your application on a server, on a new server, it hardly takes a couple of minutes. That's it. So that's the reason cloud became very famous. And also, if you are using a cloud, right, you will pay for what you use. That means you are using a virtual machine for one day. That means you will pay the cost of virtual machine for one day only. It is a service only. But if you are not using cloud, if it is on premise or your data center, right, you have to purchase the hardware, right, which is becoming 4-5 lakhs. But if it is a cloud, you hardly spend 2000 3000 per day based on the type of virtual machine you select. Okay, that's the background of cloud and how it became very famous and how each and every company is using cloud now. Okay, any doubts there in terms of the background?
No, as of now.
Okay, now let's get into so now you know why cloud came into picture. Now you need to understand there are three different types of cloud. Okay, conceptually, one is public cloud, and then private cloud, and then hybrid cloud. I'm talking about these concepts with respect to the applications. Okay, public cloud means AWS, Azure, etc., or Google Cloud Platform. These are the public clouds. That means some other companies created this cloud, and you go and just subscribe to that cloud services. Okay, all you need is your some credit card or debit card or enterprise agreement. If you're a company, you need to have an agreement with the cloud. If you're an individual, you or me, I simply use my credit card to create my account in public cloud and start using all the services of public cloud. What is a private cloud? Private cloud is nothing but the cloud in your own data center. It is owned by you. That means on your physical servers, you basically install softwares like a VMware. When you install VMware, you basically create a cloud on your physical servers basically. You can go and partition your physical servers. Let us say you have 128 GB of RAM of physical server with 100 GB storage. I can basically make let us say some 5-6 virtual machines out of that physical server. But how do I do that? By installing VMware or by setting up VMware in my data center. That's a big concept that is related to infrastructure, guys. But you just need to understand this one. Private cloud means it is in your data center. And mostly the software that infrastructure guy used to create private cloud is VMware. And hybrid cloud, what is that? So in your applications, right, some components can be deployed on the public cloud like AWS or Azure or a Google platform. Some components have to be deployed in your own data center, or some components have to be deployed in your own private cloud, which is running VMware basically. If your application is there in both the places, then you call it as a hybrid cloud deployment. Okay. Now, let's understand what are the different features available in public cloud. Okay. From now onwards, when we say public cloud, refer to Azure only, Azure cloud, because we are working on the Azure cloud. Okay. So in public cloud, we have three different types of features. One is IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. Okay, many people gets confused. Okay, even in your job IDs, right? Your recruiters keep on sending. Do you have experience on Azure PaaS services? Do you have experience on Azure SaaS services? Do you have experience on Azure IaaS services, infrastructure as a service? Okay, and these are the concepts, and these concepts are available on any cloud. Even if you go to AWS, you will use the same terminology because these are the concepts and these are generic. Okay, now you need to understand what service you call it as an infrastructure as a service, what service you call it as a platform as a service, what service you call it as a software as a service. Okay, now after the end of this slide, you will have a clear cut idea of what is that basically. Okay, but what I'm trying to do, since you are new to cloud, right? I just want to log into the Azure cloud and show you something and come back to this slide so that you can relate your, uh, uh, the learning what you have here with the cloud, actual cloud. So let me go to, okay, so to log into Azure cloud, right? The URL is portal.azure.com. Even if you Google it, you will get it. Okay. Okay, guys, if you're working for any organization, obviously your infrastructure guys or cloud administration guys might have got an agreement with Microsoft, and they would have integrated your company's Active Directory with the portal. I mean Azure Cloud. Okay, that's the reason you will go and use your company email ID to log into Azure Cloud. Okay, since I'm an individual, I don't have any enterprise agreement, right? I'm an individual. I use my Hotmail account. Okay, basically you need to have Hotmail account to log into your Azure Cloud if you're not using your you know company's email IDs. Okay, so this is my email ID. Portal.azure.com is that is the URL. So this is how your Azure Cloud landing page looks like. Basically, you may not see the top row when you log in first time because these are frequently used services. So I frequently use these services. That's the reason I see it here. So you probably see it empty, but the rest of the things will be there: navigate, tools, etc. When you log into this for the first time. Okay, and you can go and search for the services using this search box here, or on the top left corner you see here, right, show portal menu. If you click this, it will show you a lot of services here. So in cloud terminology you call it as a resources. Okay, anything is a resource in cloud. Okay, be it AWS or be it Google Cloud Platform, be it Azure, everything is called as a resource. Okay, let me show all resources. Click on all resources. So here all services you can say. Now when you click on all services, you see a different a lot number of categories here: general, compute, networking, storage, web, mobile, containers, databases, and etc. And you can also see a DevOps here. Okay, so each and everything is a feature or a service in your cloud basically. So compute is nothing but these are different categories. Compute is nothing but your servers. Anything related to your servers, you call it as a compute. Means you will go and create a virtual machine, and there are many other features related to your virtual machines. Okay, your disks, your networks, and even your Kubernetes services is also a compute, because Kubernetes is a group of servers basically. Okay, and networking, as I told you, I mean, you can relate it actually. If you are working in a physical data center, as I told you, you need 5 different teams minimum, right? Network administrator, server administrator, storage administrator, and once your data center is built by all these people, your developers or your project teams are using the servers, and all those things come here: web feature, mobile features, containers, databases. All these things will be used by your development people, but access will be given by cloud administrator. Okay, now you see networking, you see virtual networks. Okay, uh, everything. So in your physical environment, if you are calling it as network, it will become virtual network here. So similarly, you basically call it as a machine, right, a server in your regular terminology. But when you come to the cloud, you call it as a virtual server or virtual machine. So you just add a virtual to each and every concept, then it will become your cloud basically. See, a lot of things available in your networking as well. If you are a network administrator, then you will understand all of these things. But if you're application development guy, you will not know many of these things. You will only probably know virtual networks. You probably know the load balancers. Okay, not anything other than that. And you know the public IP addresses, etc. Okay, and similarly you have the storage. It's all about the disks basically. What type of storage you are going to use for your server. Okay, and similarly you have the DevOps here. Okay, we use Azure DevOps basically. In DevOps also there are some dev test labs, lab services. These are kind of some kind of experimented stuff basically, but companies don't use this. Okay, we use Azure DevOps organizations is the feature in DevOps category under Azure Cloud. We use this one. We really don't need to go here regularly. The URL for Azure DevOps is dev.azure.com. I will log in and show you after this one. Okay. So this is how your cloud, cloud homepage looks like. Okay. There is a reason for, behind it, why I'm showing this one. Okay. Now let's come back to our slide.
Purna, one question. So, as part of this session, we will cover the features available in the DevOps feature of Azure.
Yeah, see, now if you look into this landing page of or home page of your Azure Cloud, there are n number of features, right? You have
Yes.
analytics, you have networking, you have servers, and then yeah, analytics, and you have the databases. Databases basically database administrators, isn't it? And analytics basically your reporting guys, or your big data guys, etc. All this comes under analytics, like your Azure big data. All your SQL servers, Oracle servers, or Postgres, etc. They are for the database developers. Okay,
Okay.
and you have a DevOps, that is for the DevOps guys. Okay, and you have servers, networks, etc. That is for the server administrators. But here, when you come to the cloud, you don't have a server administrator roles like you don't have roles like server administrator, network administrator, because it's everything is a cloud, right? You don't need to manage physically, it's all virtual. So all you have is a cloud administrator. Okay, cloud administrator means he will create your let us say I'm a developer, or I'm managing a team. I need some 5 servers. Okay, some servers could be Linux, some servers could be Windows, and I say I need Windows Server 2019 with a 32 GB of RAM, or 128 GB of hard disk, etc. I give my specifications. Then what the cloud administrator will do, he will go and create those services in Azure Cloud and provide access to our accounts basically, so that we will go and utilize them. Okay,
Okay.
now where you are fitting here, you are basically going to learn Azure DevOps to implement your DevOps for build and deployments of your applications, or management of the requirements, or managing of your developers code. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a cloud. Nobody work on each and everything. Let us say if you, your database guys, right? They only use database category in the cloud platform, and not all the database features again, because you have people working on the big data. They know Hadoop, they know Python, etc. You have people who knows reporting tools, right? Let us say some people know Tableau, but here it is Power BI in Azure Cloud. There are number of tools, right? And some people work on database like SQL Server. They go and use a SQL Server category inside your database category. Got me? For all these things, your cloud administrator have to create the resources. Each and everything is resource, I told you, right? Have to create a resource and give access to the individual people or the teams. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Now let's understand what is a platform as a service, software as a service, and infrastructure as a service. Give attention to this deck here. Okay. Now you see the lines here, right? Infrastructure as a service. Under infrastructure as a service block, what I kept here, You have your physical buildings, data center or physical plant or building, and then networking or firewalls or security, and then servers and storage. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that you are basically using only the infrastructure for your requirement. Infrastructure means is nothing but your servers. Again, you are not connecting with the physical servers, you are connecting with the virtual servers. You really don't care the complexity behind your virtual machine creation. You simply go ahead and create a virtual machine in a couple of minutes. Okay, if you are using only virtual machines or networks, etc., you call it as a infrastructure as a service. Okay, all such kind of things comes under infrastructure as a service. Okay, so in your cloud platform you don't see these categories, infrastructure or platform or software. This is the terminology that we use as a end user. Okay, and what is a platform as a service? You have some other categories in Azure cloud or AWS cloud. Okay, it's not just a machine, it's not just a network. You will also have some other utilities available in the platform as a service categories. What are those? If you're using a platform as a service, it's not just a blank server. You will also get some operating system, and those services will also give you some utilities. Let us say you are creating some report. Okay, that report you may develop it in Tableau, you may develop in SSRS, you may develop in Looker. There are n number of tools for the reporting, right? Similarly, your Azure DevOps your Azure cloud is having a Power BI. Okay, Power BI is a reporting platform, so that comes under platform as a service, because when you are using a Power BI, you don't need to let us say if you are using Tableau or Looker or SSRS, you need to install software on your laptop and then connect your that platform with the databases and then develop your dashboards or reports. But if you are using a platform as a service like Power BI on Azure cloud, all you need to do is just go and create a new Power BI report and connect your report with databases or whatever you want and develop your reports and dashboards. You are not installing anything related to your software. Everything is built in. Just go and use it. That's what platform as a service. Okay, what is a software as a service? So it includes, you can see the diagram. Okay, I mean lines here. What is a software as a service? Software as a service is inclusion of all these things plus more features. Basically, when you are using a software as a service, you basically don't even need to go and configure anything. Basically, I mean create anything. You don't need to develop anything, you just need to configure your feature. So one of the classic example for SaaS is the APIs given by Azure cloud. Let us say you have some AI ML related stuff like facial recognition or some threat modeling in AI ML. All you do is you go and use that API of given by Azure cloud and send your data, input data. It means your camera clicks your face pic and then send that as a stream to API. Here what you are doing, you are just trying to consume the service given by your Azure cloud and pass your input. And other example is your Azure cloud, Azure DevOps. In Azure DevOps, I'm not going to install and configure anything manually. Everything is given to me. All I do is I go and put my code into Azure Repos, put my requirements into Azure Boards, and configure CI/CD pipelines for my application. So this is ready to use. Okay, that is why you call it as a hosted applications or apps. Your Azure DevOps is one of the hosted applications in Azure cloud. You are not responsible for administration, sorry, maintenance of the Azure cloud. Okay, sorry, Azure DevOps, everything is given. Just go and configure your CI/CD pipeline. So these are the differences. And for you to make it even more easier, I given one more table in the backend. Okay, you start from left. What you will generally have in your data center, it is, if it is your own data center, you call it as a on premises. Okay, or it can be a private cloud as well. This is your these are all the things available in your data center. What are those? If I start from bottom, you have to have the storage device, you have to have the networking cables, you have to have the compute, that means your server hardware basically. Okay, And then if you are using VMware, etc., you will have a VMware installed on your servers, and so that you will create a virtual machines. Obviously, you need to have operating system licenses bought in advance, and the runtime applications and data access related to your development teams. Means you are using a .NET, then you need a .NET runtime, right? Okay, if you are using Java, you need a Java runtime, like your Java SDK or Apache Tomcat, etc. And applications developed by you. And data and access, it's about databases. These are all the things that are available in your data center, right, for any given application, isn't it? Is it clear? uh, yes.
Yeah, yes.
So these are all the things that you see in your data center. Now when you come to cloud, as I told you, you have these three different things: IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. Now you can see the green means you manage. You means as an end user, you will manage that component. Blue means it is a cloud provider manage. It could be Microsoft if it is Azure, AWS if it is Amazon, and Google if it is Google Platform. If you are using a infrastructure as a service, you see compute, networking, and storage, all these three will be managed by your cloud provider, means Microsoft. You never get into their building, right, data center. All you do is go to portal.azure.com and create your resources. And you see green, what you will maintain. If you are creating a virtual machine, you will maintain that virtual machine. Maintenance in nothing but giving access to the people or applying some patches, etc. Okay. And you will choose your operating system, and your developers or DevOps guy will deploy their applications. Okay, so that is what you manage. When you come to the platform as a service, uh, the cloud provider manages the compute, networking, storage, and they will maintain the virtual machines in the backend. Let us say you have your Azure DevOps, right? Okay. See, it is an application, right? Somewhere else. It is running from some virtual machine, but you don't know because you are not required to log into the virtual machine to access your Azure DevOps application. All you do is you are going to portal and using that application. I mean, you are going to a web browser and using that application. Okay. So that is a kind of platform as a service, but we generally call it as software as a service. Okay. You see, all you are responsible for your applications and data access. When you come to software as a service, your cloud provider will take care of everything. All you need to worry about is your data and access. The classic example is your SQL server or your Azure DevOps. All you do is go and create a service and put your data and manage the access to that data basically, or your Power BI platform. You will go and connect your data, create reports and dashboards, and manage the access, who will need access to that service. That comes under software as a service. This single diagram will clear all your doubts about infrastructure, platform, and software as a services. See, after this class, spend some time reading these things and try to understand it actually one more time. Okay, it helps you a lot in future. Is it clear?
Purna, just now, like you have told, Power BI is a platform as a service, right?
Yeah, see, some people call it as a
But now
platform
you
as
are, yeah,
service. Yeah,
okay,
software as a, okay. See, but it doesn't matter whether it is a platform as service, software as service.
okay,
I mean, it doesn't matter how you use it actually. This is for our understanding purpose, because when you go to interviews, right? Hey, what platform as a service features you worked on? What infrastructure as a service features you worked on? Okay, but
okay,
when you come to the implementation perspective, you really don't
okay,
care basically what type of, because it is just a categorization, right? Whether you know
okay,
the categorization, you don't know the categorization, it doesn't matter. All you need is creating and utilizing it.
okay,
This is with respect to your interviews and your knowledge, but it
okay.
doesn't affect your implementation criteria. But as you said, let me tell you, I mean, even if you go and ask an expert in Azure cloud also, or AWS cloud also, still they don't know. the differences.
Exactly, which is what? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the reason I put
Okay.
together this simple representation of how it looks like. So now, tomorrow, when you go and create some service, right? Now you come and
Yeah.
look into this matrix. When
Okay.
you look into this matrix, you will understand where that is fitting into. Is it a software as service? Is it a platform as service? Is it infrastructure as service? That's the reason I given a best example: APIs, face recognition APIs, or your IoT APIs. All APIs, you don't do anything, right? You just consume it, send some input, and it will process and give you the output, isn't it? That's a
Okay.
classic example for software as a service.
Biometrics, everything.
Everything, right? You don't do anything, right? It just input
Yeah.
from you.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Purna, can you give some, live example for like which you gave for software APIs as an example? Can you give
Yeah.
example for infra and the platform also?
Okay. Yeah. So infrastructure is about your servers. When you go and create a server, right? That is infrastructure as a service. Okay. You create a virtual machine, but when you create a virtual machine, it's not just a virtual machine you create, right? uh, uh, it will have your virtual networks, it will have the storage, it will have the security aspects as well. So all these things will come under infrastructure as a service. That means it doesn't come up with any softwares or applications. It only comes with your operating system and your server. That's it.
Okay.
Platform as a service, you will have the better example is there is a concept called Azure app service in Azure cloud. That means basically there are three different types of deploying your application. You can deploy your application to a physical server, that means in your data center. You can deploy your application to a virtual machine, okay, which can be an Azure cloud, which can be an AWS cloud, which can be a VMware virtual machine in your own data center, which is on top of VMware. And you can deploy your applications into Kubernetes as well, the recent way. I mean, people are now started using Kubernetes. Okay, but inside that Kubernetes you will have a Dockers basically. I mean, that's a different concept, will come. Let's not get into very detail. Okay. And there is another way. You can deploy your applications into Azure app service as well. There is a category called Azure app service. Okay, you can deploy your application into app service as well. That means when you are deploying your application to app service, you are not going to create any virtual machine. Okay, all you do is you go to Azure cloud, you select app service, and you will, if you are deploying a web application, you will select a web category. Okay, and it will ask you so many questions. Hey, which type of application you want to deploy? Is it a .NET, Java, Node.js, Python? And it will ask you what runtime you need to have. You want a .NET Core, you want a .NET 3.5 or 4.2, etc. And how much RAM you need. Such kind of questions it will ask, and it will create environment for you. All you need to do is just go and deploy your application into that one. Okay, that is called as a platform as a service. Another one I tell you, platform as a service. Let us say if you ever used GoDaddy, did you use GoDaddy anytime?
Yes.
Okay, and did you deploy applications in GoDaddy?
No, I didn't, but I have just gone through it.
Yeah, so you basically purchase domains from the GoDaddy, right? You purchase the domain, but you only have the domain. But when you develop a web application, right, it can be a HTML application, it can be a ASP.NET application, right? What they do, what they give you a folder. I mean, a FTP or SFTP. You go and put your content into that one, and before that, you make some environment changes by going through some menus, basically. So there they maintain all the platform. All you are doing is you are deploying your application somehow by putting in SFTP or FTP, etc. That is another one. And another platform as service I can say, your big data. Okay, when you are using a big data, or you take SQL server. For SQL server, what you need to have, if it is not a cloud, you need to have some server and install your SQL server or Oracle software, right? Okay, and someone needs to maintain that one. But when you come to cloud, all you do is you go and simply create a SQL server resource. And after that, you start populating your data, creating your stored procedures, creating your tables, etc. That is also a platform as service. Okay.
Okay.
So you will learn it in over a period of time. But anytime you have a doubt, come back to this slide. So it will help you. Okay. So I kept in a single slide. I try to adjust like this basically. Infrastructure, platform, and software, and how you understand them here. Okay. Now let's see what are the. I mean, people ask me, hey, what are the different activities that I can do in cloud, right? So you only have these roles basically. I mean, you will have Azure Cloud Administrator who will do the cloud infrastructure management. Let us say he will go and create machines, he will go and create databases, he will go and create DevOps, etc., and give a access to different people as per the team requirement. Okay, these guys do not develop anything. These guys do not develop any application. These are the infrastructure guys in our regular environment, but in the cloud we call them as a cloud administrator and Azure cloud developer. Okay, so nowadays people are using this role as well. Cloud developer is nothing but let me give an example. Let us say you are a .NET developer. So if you're not using cloud, you develop all the features in .NET itself. Okay, you will do it from scratch, be it reports or be it API gateways, be it I mean search mechanisms, be it roles and responsibilities mechanism, etc. Everything you develop it in your .NET code from scratch. But if you know cloud also, so all these features, let us say you can manage your roles and responsibilities in Azure Active Directory. And if you want to send some emails, you have some features in the Azure cloud. Okay. And if you want to create some reports, you have the features in Azure cloud. Now, if you are combining your .NET abilities and and if you are able to utilize the resources in Azure cloud, then you can call it as a Azure cloud developer. Okay, so what do? You basically go and use the resources in Azure cloud and combine with your .NET or Java application to develop the any given requirement. And finally, Azure DevOps Engineer. What you will do, the cloud administrator will give you access to the Azure DevOps organizations, I mean Azure DevOps platform, and Azure cloud developer or developer will develop their applications. And you, what you do, you will go and deploy, or you go and automate all the manual activities that are there in the software development lifecycle and use a Azure DevOps platform. So these are the three different, and you will have architect, lead, etc. I mean, that's up to the organization, but these are the fundamental roles what you see in a company with respect to the cloud. Okay. Simply, I mean, what all you can do in Azure Cloud, right? As I told you, by the end of this session, you will also learn administration of Azure Cloud as well. You don't need to join any other training session to learn administration. Administration, basically, you learn it. I mean, and this is implicit. Implicit means I really don't say that, hey, now I am teaching you Azure Cloud administration. I don't need to teach that because while I am going through CI/CD pipelines, okay, I need to create all these things. I need to deal with this virtual machine. Let us say I need to deploy an application as part of our lab sessions, right? I don't have any physical servers, right? Obviously, I go and deploy those things in the virtual machines. So even a creation of these virtual machines, etc., I do it in front of you, so that you will learn the administration aspects of the cloud as well. Okay. Now what you do, so what all you can do, you will create virtual machine scale sets. Scale set is nothing but a group of virtual machines. Okay, that you call it as a virtual machine scale set. That means all the, let us, if you have 4 virtual machines in a virtual machine scale set, all will be having the similar configuration, be it a RAM or CPU or operating system. I will tell you what is the advantage of this one, but I will tell you while going through the sessions. Okay, you can create the app service functions. Okay, you can deploy your mobile apps, or you can deploy your web apps, you can deploy your APIs, etc. Those are app service functions. Classic, it comes under platform as service mostly. Azure Kubernetes service, this is I will explain it when we go to the Kubernetes section basically. So Azure Kubernetes is a managed version of Kubernetes. Basically, Kubernetes is a open source. Okay, open source softwares are always difficult to use because you need to do everything on your own. Means you have to install on your own. You have to go through the documentation and do the configuration, and you have to go through a lot of documentation to go and do the development as well. That's the reason all these people like Microsoft, Google, or AWS, they create a wrappers on top of the open source, and they call it as a managed version. So you have a open source Kubernetes service, and Microsoft created a wrapper on top of that open source Kubernetes service, and they named it as a Azure Kubernetes service. That means if you are learning the basic, the fundamental Kubernetes service, which is a open source, it may take you 6 7 months to become some kind, to get some kind of expertise. But when you learn Azure Kubernetes service, you will learn everything in a month, and you will become expert as well. So that kind of flexibility, all the difficulty will be taken care by your cloud guys basically. And then you will create virtual networks. Obviously you need a network, and you need a load balancer for your applications to work, right? And a VPN gateways for security, application gateways for security to your applications, and storage things. You have different types of storages in Azure cloud: blob storage, disk storage, file storage. Namely, basically disk storage is nothing but your actual hard disk that you use in your laptop or server. Okay, file storage is all are storages only, but these storages are tuned for different types of data. If you are using some files like docs or documents or ppts, etc., the better storage mechanism is to store it in the file storage. All you do is to go to portal.azure.com, create a file storage and give some name, and give access to the people to keep their files. And blob storage, it is for basically keeping your images, or photos or videos. For such kind of things you use a blob storage. Okay, so for different types of data, you will use different types of storage. Okay, and you will use the databases. So you can create a Azure SQL databases, Cosmos DBs, it's a NoSQL, and you create a Postgres. You have all the databases. And Internet of Things IoT, and Azure Data Lake for big data. You know Hadoop, right? If it is a open source, you call it as a Hadoop. On top of Hadoop, many companies create wrappers. So, Cassandra, Azure. I mean, in Azure you call it as Azure HD Insights. In AWS you call it as a AWS Big Data. Okay, but underlying platform is Hadoop basically. So here you call it as Azure Data Lake for big data basically. And you will also, along with that, you also have your Azure DevOps, and that is what you are learning here as a primary mechanism. Okay, you will go through all these things. I will use it somehow as part of our sessions. Okay, so that's glimpse of your cloud. Overview of cloud before you getting into Azure DevOps training session, or Azure DevOps, learning Azure DevOps platform. Any doubts? Is that helpful? Whatever you gone through so far.
Yeah, yes, Purna.
Yeah,
Yes.
guys, I spend a time in the concepts. A good amount of time I spend it. The reason, uh, if you want to learn how to do it, you have the thousands and millions of material or YouTube videos and the YouTube basically. But what you don't get there on the YouTube videos is the background, right? Okay, what is the purpose, where do you use it, and what are you going to get out of it, what are the different scenarios, use cases, that you don't get it. But if you want to know how to create a pipeline, that is available on the YouTube, right? You go and search it, you will get millions of videos. Okay, uh, so that's the reason, let's utilize these training sessions to get a lot of background, or the use cases, scenarios, advantages and disadvantages, and the alternative solutions, etc. So it helps you for your entire future. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is the next step, right? Next step is go and start using Azure DevOps. Okay. So how do you come to Azure DevOps? You have either you go to, let me go here. Sorry, I don't know. My Chrome is uh, my Chrome converted to Azure Chrome profile. Basically, it is behaving differently. So how you go? You go to portal.azure.com and log in with your Hotmail account. If you are using it for the first time, it will ask for a subscription. You can go and use your your credit card, guys. When you are signing up, right, you have to sign up. Basically, when you sign up, uh, you will have to use your credit card, and you will get a free credits. Basically, I mean, you will get some 12,000 rupees of free credit, and the 12,000 rupees is enough to practice Azure DevOps and as well as Azure Cloud Administration as well. But you need to follow my instructions. The reason, if you don't know how to effectively use that free money to practice, you will end up spending all that money in one day itself. A classic example is that you will create a virtual machine and you really don't know how much you are paying for that virtual machine, and if you don't stop or you don't delete that virtual machine after your lab, what happens? If it is running for 24 hours, right, you probably end up spending 12 all your 12,000 rupees. Okay. The best practice is that as soon as you create a service and you understand it, immediately delete it, so that you are utilizing your free services, free credit effectively. Okay. I will tell you, but you go and sign up basically uh, today or tomorrow, portal.azure.com, and or you go, and it says simply, right, sign up for Microsoft Azure, azure.microsoft.com or portal.azure.com, whatever it is, you will get here, and then you can sign up basically. Okay. Or when you go to portal.azure.com, you can sign in. If you don't have account, you can create it, right? Or you can see free account here. Okay. Start free. So since I already logged in, you can see my account is showing here, but it will give you that sign up page, your first name, last name, etc. That typical one basically. Let me sign out. Okay, you can go and sign up. Once you sign up, you will come to all services and you have the DevOps and click on Azure DevOps organizations. This is one. After you come here, you basically see it empty here. You don't see anything like my Azure DevOps organization. It will be like this. You click on my Azure DevOps organization, it will come here basically. Since I did not log in, it will asking me to log in basically. I am basically using my email ID called Hasra86, but this is another way to go. The other way is dev.azure.com. This is the direct URL of your Azure DevOps. Okay, there is a difference in terms of free licenses between Azure Cloud and Azure DevOps. Okay, when you sign up for Azure Cloud, right, your free credits are valid for 30 days. After 30 days, your free credits will be expired if you don't use it. For Azure DevOps, your account, your free account is valid for 90 days. So that is a very big amount of time. You can happily learn each and everything. Okay. So you can go to portal.azure, sorry, dev.azure.com. I can ping here in the chat. Dev.azure.com is for Azure DevOps direct URL, and portal.azure.com is for Azure Cloud. You sign up for it basically. Okay, and you say start free, and you will use your Hotmail account. Okay, that's it. And you can see all these different material as well, but don't try to go and read all these things. It will be difficult. As soon as I finish something, you can go and uh, try, refer to this, because material is a hell lot. Basically, you will have thousands of pages yet to read. Okay. Yeah, as I told you, don't go and create immediately any one of these services. But if you are creating some service, immediately delete it. Otherwise your free credits will be expired, or it will be spent actually. Okay. So, guys, that's it for today. From tomorrow, we will get into Azure DevOps, the actual content basically. We'll start with planning. So, I will go by SDLC pages, because your software development lifecycle starts with planning, right? So, I will start with the planning phase, where you will deal with your requirements, and you deal with your, resource management as well. Many people will ask me, Puna, I'm a DevOps engineer, right? Why do I need to learn planning activity? Okay. See, the things are changing. Just now we discussed, right? In your, if you are using, if you are in your own data center, you have 5 different teams, right? Right now, in your company as well, you will have different people, right? Server administrators, network administrator, who will give you access to some websites, etc. And you have storage people. But when you come to cloud, you have only one guy to take care of everything. That guy name is Azure Cloud Administrator, right? Similarly, when you work in any project, right, there is no defined rule, right? If you're a DevOps administrator, you can't simply say that I do only CI/CD pipeline. Your project manager will kick you off, right? Yeah, that is the case with everyone. Let us say, a developer. If you're a .NET developer and you say that I don't know database development, then your project manager will kick you off, isn't it? So things are changing. So that's the reason I asked the guys to learn end-to-end DevOps, not just a CI/CD pipeline. CI/CD pipeline is a part of your DevOps. When you know end-to-end DevOps, you can survive anywhere. Okay, so that's the reason I start with planning. Okay, in planning, these are all the manual activities that we do, or the activities that we do in our project teams, and how you can automate them using DevOps concepts. And those DevOps concepts, we are going to use Azure Boards here for the planning activity that we will start tomorrow. Okay, so that means we start here tomorrow. Okay, this part. Okay, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.